Cassidy thought she'd outrun her past. But now, trapped in a coffee shop with her sister, and the FBI closing in, everything is about to explode. Will she expose the truth before it's too late? Or will Cross's lies tear her apart once again? 20 minutes later, Cassidy found herself in the passenger seat of Yuna's black sedan, driving through Portland's waking streets. Daniel sat in the back, a baseball cap pulled low over his face and sunglasses hiding his eyes despite the overcast morning. "Where are we going?" Cassidy asked. "To see an old friend," Daniel said. "Someone who owes me a favor. Someone who has access to resources we'll need." They drove to a warehouse district on the outskirts of the city, pulling up to a building that looked even more abandoned than the one they'd left. But when Daniel knocked on the side door in a specific pattern, it opened immediately. The man who greeted them was massive, at least 6'5", built like a linebacker, with tribal tattoos covering both arms. He looked at Daniel, then at Cassidy and grinned. "Danny Reaver. Heard you died last night." "Rumors of my death are greatly exaggerated," Daniel replied. "Tommy, this is Cassidy. She's the reason I'm still breathing." Tommy's expression shifted to one of respect. "Then your family. Come in. All of you." Inside, the warehouse was a maze of shipping containers, each one containing different supplies. Weapons, ammunition, surveillance equipment, body armor, fake IDs, everything a person would need if they were going to war. "Tommy runs the best black market operation on the West Coast," Daniel explained. "Anything you need, he can get it." "Within reason," Tommy added. "I don't deal in human trafficking, drugs, or anything that hurts kids. But weapons, documents, equipment? I'm your guy." "We need to disappear for a while," Daniel said. "New IDs, burner phones, weapons, and cash." "Lots of cash." Tommy nodded. "Running from the FBI?" "Among others." "Expensive." "I know. I'll pay triple your normal rate if you can have everything ready by tonight." Tommy considered this. "Triple, huh? Must be serious." "You've got it." "But Danny, I'm hearing things. Hearing that your organization has a mole. Hearing that the FBI is about to move on all your operations. You got a plan." "Working on it," Daniel said. "Which is why I need your help. I also need information. Any chatter you've heard about FBI operations in Portland, any rumors about Agent Samuel Cross, anything at all." Tommy's expression darkened at Cross's name. "Cross is bad news. Real bad news. Word on the street is he's running some kind of task force, taking down any operation that doesn't pay him tribute. He's been squeezing people for months, forcing them to either work for him or get arrested. Several of my competitors have either been shut down or are now working as his informants." "Has he approached you?" Cassidy asked. "Tried to. I told him I don't work with cops, crooked or otherwise. He wasn't happy about that. I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop." "It might drop soon," Daniel warned. "If he's cleaning house, anyone he can't control becomes a target." "Then it's a good thing I've got an exit strategy," Tommy said. "Been planning to retire anyway. This might speed up the timeline." He looked at Cassidy. "You're the one who attacked him at the diner, right? The medic." "News travels fast," Cassidy said. "In my business, information is currency. And the word is that Cross is obsessed with finding you. Not just because you attacked him, but because of something in your past. Something he's afraid you'll expose." "He should be afraid," Cassidy said quietly. Tommy grinned again. "I like her. She's got fire. Okay, here's what I can do. New IDs will take about 6 hours. I've got weapons and cash ready now. Burner phones are easy. And I'll throw in some surveillance equipment and body armor free of charge. Consider it my contribution to the cause." "The cause?" Daniel asked. "Taking down a crooked FBI agent? That's a cause I can get behind. Cross has been bad for business and bad for this city. If you can expose him, you'll be doing everyone a favor." They spent the next hour selecting equipment. Cassidy chose a Glock 19, familiar, reliable, and easy to conceal. She also picked out body armor that would fit under her clothes, a surveillance kit that included microphones and cameras small enough to hide almost anywhere, and a tactical knife that strapped to her ankle. Daniel selected similar equipment plus what looked like enough ammunition to start a small war. "Expecting trouble?" Cassidy asked. "I always expect trouble," Daniel replied. It's how I've stayed alive this long. While they were finishing up, Yuna called. Daniel put her on speaker. Found where they're keeping Jenny, Yuna said without preamble. Federal building downtown, 5th floor. She's in a conference room being questioned by Agent Cross and 2 other FBI agents. Is she okay? Cassidy asked anxiously. Physically, yes. Emotionally? She looked terrified in the security footage I managed to hack into. They've been questioning her for hours about what she saw at the diner. What's she telling them? The truth, mostly. She described how you helped Daniel, how you attacked Cross when he tried to arrest you both. But she's also saying you threatened her, that you forced her to help you. Smart kid. She's protecting herself by making you look like the aggressor. Good, Cassidy said. That's exactly what she should do. I told her to do that. Cross doesn't seem convinced, Yuna continued. He keeps pushing her. Asking if you and Daniel seemed to know each other before last night. Asking if she overheard any of your conversation. He's looking for a connection. There wasn't one until last night, Daniel said. I'd never seen Cassidy before she saved my life. Cross doesn't believe in coincidences, Yuna said. He thinks this was planned somehow. That you and Cassidy orchestrated the whole thing. That's insane, Cassidy said. Doesn't matter if it's insane. If Cross believes it, he'll build a case around it. And he's got the full weight of the FBI behind him. He can make evidence appear. Make witnesses say whatever he wants them to say. Then we need to move faster, Daniel said. How's our journalist contact? Interested. Very interested. But she wants proof before she runs anything. She's been burned before by sources who promised evidence they couldn't deliver. Tell her we'll have proof. Soon. But she needs to be ready to move when we are. Once we expose Cross, he'll use every connection he has to bury the story. We need her to go public before he can stop her. I'll let her know. But Danny? Be careful. Cross is desperate, and desperate people are dangerous. They ended the call, and Tommy handed Daniel a duffel bag. Everything you need for tonight. IDs will be ready by 6 p.m. I'll deliver them to the safe house. Thanks, Tommy. Don't thank me yet. You're about to go up against the FBI, the mob, and God knows who else. You're either very brave or very stupid. Can't it be both? Daniel asked with a slight smile. Sure. But try to be more brave than stupid. I'd hate to lose a good customer. As they drove back to the safe house, Cassidy found herself thinking about Jenny, about Tiana, about all the innocent people caught in the crossfire of this war between Daniel and Cross. How do we protect them? She asked. All the people who are going to get hurt when this comes to a head? We end it quickly, Daniel said. We expose Cross, we bring down his network, and we do it in a way that leaves no doubt about who the real criminals are. And if that doesn't work? Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then we make sure their sacrifices weren't in vain. We make sure the truth comes out, no matter what it costs us. Back at the safe house, Marcus had made progress. The financial trail connecting Cross to Lisa to Pacific Consulting Group was clear and damning. But more importantly, he'd found something else. There's a meeting, Marcus said, pulling up a calendar he'd accessed from Lisa's email. Tomorrow night. All of Cross's key people in Portland. Location is listed as the usual spot. Do you know where that is? Cassidy asked. Not yet. But I'm working on it. Lisa's email has references to previous meetings. I'm cross-referencing with credit card charges and GPS data from her phone. How long will that take? Few hours, maybe less. Daniel nodded. Good work, Marcus. When you find it, let me know immediately. This could be our chance. Our chance for what? Cassidy asked. To record them. If we can get surveillance equipment into that meeting, if we can record Cross and his co-conspirators discussing their operations, their corruption, their crimes, that's the evidence we need. That's what will convince the journalist to run the story, and what will force law enforcement to act. It's also incredibly dangerous, Yuna pointed out. If they catch you, they'll kill you on the spot. Then we won't get caught, Daniel said simply. Cassidy's phone buzzed, the burner phone Yuna had given her earlier. She looked at the screen and froze. It was a text from an unknown number. I know you're alive. I know you're with Daniel Reaver. And I know you're planning something. Meet me. Alone. or your sister learns the truth about who you really are. T. Cassidy whispered. Tiana. It's from Tiana. Everyone crowded around to look at the message. It's a trap, Una said immediately. Cross put her up to this. Maybe, Daniel said. Or maybe Tiana is smarter than Cross gives her credit for. Maybe she's figured out something's wrong. Or maybe Cross told her I'm alive and is using her to draw me out, Cassidy said. Another text came through. The coffee shop on Morrison Street. The one we used to go to. 1 hour. Come alone or I go to the media. That's specific, Daniel noted. And personal. Only you would know about a coffee shop you and your sister used to frequent. Unless Cross knows, Cassidy argued. He's been with her for 2 years. She's probably told him everything about her life, including her dead sister's favorite coffee shop. There's only one way to find out, Daniel said. You want me to go, Cassidy said flatly. I want you to have the choice. This could be a trap, but it could also be your only chance to reach your sister before everything explodes. If you go, you won't go alone. We'll have backup surveillance, a safety net. But ultimately, the decision is yours. Cassidy looked at the message again. Morrison Street. The coffee shop. She remembered lazy Sunday mornings there with Tiana. Back when life was simple and the biggest worry was whether they'd get the good table by the window. That life felt like it belonged to someone else. I'll go, she said. But we do it smart. Full surveillance, backup plan, exit strategy. Agreed, Daniel said. Una, get the surveillance equipment ready. Marcus, keep working on that meeting location. I'll position myself near the coffee shop with a tactical team. You have a tactical team? Cassidy asked. I have people I trust. Not many, but enough. They'll be ready. 45 minutes later, Cassidy sat in Una's car 2 blocks from the coffee shop, wearing a wire so thin it was practically invisible. In her ear was a nearly invisible earpiece that would let her hear Daniel and Una. Testing. Daniel's voice came through clear. Can you hear me? Yes, Cassidy said quietly. Good. Remember, if anything feels wrong, you walk away. We're not heroes. We're survivors. Understood. Cassidy got out of the car and walked toward the coffee shop. The neighborhood had changed in 3 years, gentrified, with new boutiques and restaurants replacing the old mom-and-pop shops she remembered. But the coffee shop was still there, looking exactly the same. She pushed open the door, and the smell of coffee and fresh pastries hit her with a wave of nostalgia so strong it hurt. Tiana sat at a table in the back. The table by the window. She looked up as Cassidy entered, and her face went through a series of expressions: shock, disbelief, anger, and finally, something that might have been hope. Cassidy walked over slowly, her heart pounding. This was her sister. Her baby sister. Alive and healthy and pregnant and so beautiful it made Cassidy's chest ache. Hi, Tia, Cassidy said softly, using the childhood nickname only she had been allowed to use. Tiana's eyes filled with tears. You're really alive. I'm really alive. Sam said you might be. He said he saw someone who looked like you at the diner where that mobster was poisoned. But I didn't believe him. I couldn't believe him. You died. 3 years ago. I went to your funeral. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry. Tiana's voice rose and several other customers looked over. She lowered it to a harsh whisper. You let me think you were dead for 3 years. 3 years, Cassidy. I grieved for you. I cried for you. I blamed myself for not being there when you needed me. And you were alive the whole time. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Because from where I'm sitting it looks like you abandoned me. Like you chose to disappear rather than face your problems. Cassidy wanted to explain everything. About Captain Harlow, about the cover-up, about Cross's involvement. But the words stuck in her throat. Because how could she tell Tiana that the man she loved, the father of her child, was one of the people who'd driven Cassidy into hiding? It's complicated, Cassidy said weakly. I'm 4 months pregnant and my supposedly dead sister just walked back into my life. I think I can handle complicated. You're pregnant, Cassidy said, stalling. Congratulations. Is Cross the father? Tiana's expression hardened. Sam. His name is Sam. And yes, he's the father. He's also the man who helped me survive when you left me alone. The man who was there through the worst time of my life. The man who loves me. Tiana. No. You don't get to do this. You don't get to come back after 3 years and judge my relationship. Sam is a good man. He's an FBI agent. He fights criminals. He protects people. He protected me. In the back room, 3 o'clock, Daniel's voice said in Cassidy's ear. 2 men. Armed. Watching you. Cassidy's blood ran cold. Tia, we need to leave. Now. What? No. We need to talk. You owe me answers. And I'll give them to you. But not here. This isn't safe. Of course it's not safe. You're a wanted criminal. Sam told me you attacked him. That you're working with Daniel Reaver, a mobster. That you've become everything Dad taught us to fight against. The words hit like physical blows. Is that what Cross told you? He showed me evidence. Security footage from the diner. Police reports. You attacked a federal agent, Cassidy. You're helping a known criminal. What was I supposed to think? That maybe there's more to the story, Cassidy said desperately. That maybe Cross isn't who you think he is. And what about you? Are you who I think you are? 'Cause right now, I don't know. The sister I knew was a hero. A medic who saved lives. The woman sitting in front of me is running from the law. They're moving, Daniel said. Cassidy, you need to get out of there. Now. But before Cassidy could move, Cross himself walked through the front door of the coffee shop. He smiled when he saw them, a predator's smile, and walked over to their table. Cassidy, Clancey, he said pleasantly. So glad you could make it. And Tiana, sweetheart, you did beautifully. Tiana looked confused. Sam? What are you doing here? I thought you were at work. I am at work, Cross said. And so are you. You helped me catch a dangerous criminal. The confusion on Tiana's face shifted to horror as understanding dawned. You used me? You used me to trap my sister. I used you to capture a wanted fugitive who attacked a federal agent, Cross corrected. There's a difference. The hell there is. Tiana stood, her voice shaking. She's my sister. She's a criminal, Cross said coldly. And if you don't sit down and be quiet, you'll be charged as an accomplice. The 2 men from the back room were moving forward now, hands on their weapons. Customers were starting to notice, starting to look alarmed. Cassidy, exit through the kitchen, Daniel said urgently. We're moving to intercept. But Cassidy couldn't move. Because Tiana was standing between her and Cross, her hands protectively over her pregnant belly, and her face was a mask of betrayal and rage. You lied to me, Tiana said to Cross. You said you just wanted to talk to her. You said you wanted to help her. I lied, Cross agreed. It's part of the job. Now sit down before you get hurt. No. The word was simple, but it carried weight. Tiana wasn't moving. She wasn't sitting down. She was standing between Cassidy and the armed FBI agents, protecting her sister with her own body. Tiana, don't, Cassidy said. Please. Just let me handle this. Handle it how? By running again? By disappearing? By letting them paint you as the villain? Tiana's voice broke. You're my sister. I don't know what happened, I don't know what you did or why you did it, but I know you. And whatever Sam says, I know you're not a criminal. Cross's pleasant mask slipped. This is your last warning, Tiana. Move or I'll have you arrested too. For what? Standing? Talking to my sister. For obstruction of justice. Then arrest me, Tiana said, lifting her chin. Go ahead. Arrest a pregnant woman in a public coffee shop for talking to her sister. I'm sure that'll look great on the evening news. Cross's jaw tightened. He was calculating, weighing options. The coffee shop was full of people with phones, people who were already filming. One wrong move and this whole thing would go viral. We're coming in, Daniel said in Cassidy's ear. 30 seconds. Tiana, listen to me, Cassidy said urgently. Cross isn't who you think he is. 3 years ago, I was assaulted by my commanding officer. I reported it. 6 other women came forward, and Cross helped cover it up. He's the reason I had to fake my death. He's the reason I've been hiding. She's lying, Cross said quickly. She's mentally unstable. PTSD from her military service. She made false accusations against a decorated officer, and when she couldn't prove them, she ran. Then why did you tell me she was a coward? Tiana asked, her voice sharp. Why did you tell me she abandoned me? If she was just mentally unstable, why not tell me the truth? Cross opened his mouth, then closed it. For the first time since Cassidy had known him, he looked uncertain. Because the truth was too complicated, he finally said. I was trying to protect you from. From what? From knowing my sister was a victim? From knowing she was driven into hiding by people who should have protected her? Tiana's voice was rising again. Or were you protecting yourself? Protecting your career? Protecting your dirty little secrets? Tiana. No. I'm done. I'm done with your lies. I'm done with your manipulation. And I'm sure as hell done with you using me as bait to trap my sister. The front door burst open. Daniel Reaver walked in, flanked by 4 men who looked like they ate nails for breakfast. The 2 FBI agents with Cross immediately drew their weapons, and suddenly everyone in the coffee shop was screaming and diving for cover. Nobody move, one of the agents shouted. Everyone stay calm, Daniel said, his voice cutting through the chaos with authority. We're not here to hurt anyone. We're just here to have a conversation. You're Daniel Reaver, Cross said, his hand on his weapon. You're wanted for being poisoned by someone in my organization who's working with you. Daniel interrupted. Yes, I know. Funny how that works. You try to kill me, I don't die, and suddenly I'm the criminal. I had nothing to do with your poisoning. Really? Because my accountant found some very interesting financial records. Payments from my organization to a shell company called Pacific Consulting Group. Ring any bell? And those payments? They go straight to an offshore account in your name. Cross's face went pale. Around them, phone cameras were recording everything. You've been using my organization to fund your own criminal enterprise, Daniel continued, his voice calm but deadly. You've been running drugs, weapons, and God knows what else through Portland, using legitimate organized crime groups as cover. And when I got too close to exposing you, you tried to have me killed. You have no proof, Cross said, but his voice lacked conviction. Actually, I do, Daniel said, pulling out a flash drive. 2 years of documentation. Financial records, recorded conversations, surveillance footage. Everything I need to prove that you're the real criminal in this story. That evidence is inadmissible. It was obtained illegally. Probably. But it doesn't matter. Because in about 30 seconds, it's going to be uploaded to every major news outlet in the country. And while Cross's face twisted into a mask of fury, his eyes darting to the phone still filming, then back to Daniel. His hand tightened on the gun at his hip. You're bluffing, Cross hissed, but his voice wavered. You won't do it. You're just as dirty as I am. You're part of the same system. Daniel didn't flinch. Maybe I'm dirty, but I'm not a hypocrite. And I'll burn the system down if it means taking you with it. He looked at Cassidy, his gaze steady. Start the upload. Cassidy, now fully in the loop, gave him a brief nod. She pulled out a small portable drive, slid it into her laptop, and hit send. In the split second it took for the file to upload, the air in the coffee shop grew thick with tension. Cross realized too late what was happening. His eyes widened as the realization hit him like a freight train. You can't. You can't. But it was already done. Cassidy could see the color drain from his face as the data began flowing. It's over, Cross, Daniel said softly, but with cold certainty. The 2 FBI agents who had been standing by Cross looked at him, then at each other. For a moment they hesitated. The room seemed to freeze. Cross's grip on his weapon loosened slightly, but he was too proud to back down. You've made a huge mistake, Daniel, Cross spat, his face contorted in anger. You think you've won? You've only made things worse for everyone. But before he could finish his threat, a loud bang echoed through the diner. Everyone turned. It wasn't a gunshot. It was the sound of the front door slamming open. A squad of police officers stormed in, led by a man in uniform Cassidy didn't recognize. They swarmed the coffee shop with rapid precision. Everybody freeze. FBI. Hands up. Cassidy barely had time to react as Daniel immediately placed himself in front of her, his eyes scanning the room for any sign of escape. But then the unexpected happened. Agent Cross, the officer in charge called, his tone commanding. You're under arrest for conspiracy, corruption, and attempting to have a federal witness killed. You have the right to remain silent. The agent's words were like a hammer falling on Cross. His eyes darted from Daniel to the police, his mouth opening as if to protest, but no words came out. Cassidy couldn't believe it. She turned to Daniel, who was now watching Cross with a quiet satisfaction. You had them on your side this whole time? Daniel gave a sharp nod. I've had a few backups. Some people owe me. The officers quickly took Cross into custody, but Cassidy could see the fight wasn't over. This was just the beginning. As the police cleared out the coffee shop, Daniel and Cassidy made their move. They slipped out through the back, where they found Una waiting in the car, her eyes sharp and alert. That went well, Daniel said, getting into the back seat. Cassidy slid in beside him, her mind still processing the shock of seeing her sister again, and everything that had unfolded so fast. Una didn't say anything at first, focusing on the road. Then she spoke. That was too close. They almost had you. Cassidy nodded. I thought Tiana was going to help me. She glanced back at Daniel, her voice softening. I'm sorry, I should have trusted you. Cross. He's been using her. Daniel's voice was gentle but firm. You weren't the only one betrayed. You did what you thought was right. There was a long silence as the car sped down the dark streets, the reality of everything that had just happened settling over Cassidy like a heavy fog. We still need to find Tiana, Cassidy finally said, determination in her eyes. She's in too deep. And now Cross knows everything about her too. Daniel turned to face her. Don't worry. We'll get her out. The same way we'll take down the rest of this operation. Una shot a quick glance at both of them. Cross is going to come after all of us, though. You know that, right? We might have exposed his operation, but he's not going to just let this go. If anything, this just made him more dangerous. Cassidy exhaled. So now what? We go back to hiding. No, Daniel said, a glint of resolve in his voice. Now we fight. And as they drove into the Portland night, Cassidy realized that she'd never be able to hide again. The truth was out, but now she and Daniel would have to face the consequences of their actions and find a way to bring Cross down once and for all. The final showdown was fast approaching. Cassidy could feel the tension mounting with each passing hour. There was no turning back now. They had exposed Cross, but the deeper conspiracy was still looming, and Cassidy had to make her final choice: to keep running or to take a stand. As they prepared for the final assault, Daniel's plan became clear. They would infiltrate the last meeting of Cross's associates, collect the evidence they needed, and then expose him publicly. But the risks were higher than ever. Cassidy's life is on the line. Will she take down Cross, or is it too late? Keep watching for the shocking finale. Do you think Cassidy made the right choice by trusting Daniel? Comment below to share your thoughts. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss the heart-stopping conclusion to this story. The tension reaches its peak as Cassidy, Daniel, and Una embark on their most dangerous mission yet: to expose the corruption and take down the mastermind behind the conspiracy. But with Tiana still in danger, and Cross more determined than ever, the clock is ticking. The truth is out, but now it's a race against time to stop the real criminals before it's too late.